All right.
I think Link is interesting.
Sure.
Talk to Link.
All right. Link in Washington. You're live with Eric and V. What would you like to talk about?
Hi.
Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. So I'm a theist.
Cool.
And I think that my epistemology is not congruent with itself right now.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's called cognitive dissonance, and it is uncomfortable.
Yes, sir, it is, in fact, very uncomfortable.
Hopefully we can help a little bit.
Yeah, what's up?
So, I wanted to bring up the idea of cherry picking and sort of what that would, how that would tie into like skepticism, because I think the way I've seen you, Eric, describe skepticism is believing as many true things and as few false things as possible. Is that accurate?
Not quite. But skepticism is a tool that helps me get there.
Okay.
So I think the easiest way to describe skepticism is bringing a 3-year-old into the room and having them ask you why all day long. But why? But why? But why? And it's a practice that gets you that takes you down all the way to why you believe what you believe and how you apply your tools and how you make sense of those things. And I think skepticism is important for that. So that is one of those tools.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that ultimately there are other things that we have to also include, because that skepticism is not necessarily going to get us to understanding true things, but it'll help us weed out false things.
Okay. That ties into what I was kind of talking about. So, what is it that's not a good question. So I kind of wanted to talk about cherry picking, because I think that we can both agree that there is bad and false things in the Bible. I think that is pretty irrefutable, but I also think that there's a lot of good stuff in there, and I kind of have to believe it, if that makes any sense.
I mean, I don't know about have to.
Well, I mean, there's a point where you do, because that's still the operating system that you're working with, right? We can't choose what we believe. And so right now, I'd say that Link is probably in this space where, you're kind of starting the process of looking at this in a more skeptical way, but that doesn't mean that automatically you're going to be able to turn off that belief, right? You're going to have to be convinced irrefutably to do that. So I see where you're coming from.
Okay. We called them cafeteria Christians.
Yeah. That's a fine way to refer to me.
I'm not calling you that. I'm just the subject.
Well, no, I get it, because I'm in this sort of weird space where all the atheists I talk to consider me a Christian, and all the Christians I talk to consider me an atheist. So,
welcome to living life as a half Mexican.
Yeah.
So
it bites. It bites. My church had kind of written me off long before I had realized it myself.
That is a common experience that we all share.
You're not alone, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, it's just I consider myself a skeptic in like every other thing, but I can't hear right now. So I kind of want to find out why and where my epistemology. Can I swear here?
Go for it.
Fuck yes.
Fuck yeah.
I kind of want to figure out why my epistemology is all irreversibly fuckface.
Well, the good thing is it's not irreversible. And the other thing is you have the power to add and grow and change. And so those are all fantastic things. It may be, I know at least for me, until I had new tools to start using, I didn't have a different way to investigate the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that worldview, that Christian worldview, at least in my experience, was justified because I didn't have any other way of approaching it. And so as you're watching these shows, hopefully they're helping kind of give you different ways to approach understanding the world around you. And as that happens, embrace that uncomfortability, man. Embrace it. That's what Eureka feels like. Some people might think it feels like you're jumping up and down excited. For me, it feels like a knot in the pit of my stomach. And it bites. But that pain signals growth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
Take your time. You don't need to know everything right now. You don't have to solve all the problems right now either.
Okay.
Can you give me an example of how you're using this epistemology for your faith that you aren't in other areas of your life? So I know that you're saying that it feels like you're being inconsistent in your epistemology. Can you give me an example of what that looks like? Can you contrast how you approach reading the Bible or talking about your faith? And then how you would approach, say, talking to somebody about a topic that is completely unrelated?
Okay, so that's a good question. I think maybe an example would be if I'm like reading the Bible, it's more that I'm like reading in between the lines so much that I forget to read the lines themselves.
Oh, I like that phrase. That's good.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
And whereas like if I'm really big into economics, so if like I'm reading economics, I'll take the argument on its front and try to discern whether or not I think that would be a good fiscal game plan for the country. But if I'm reading about scripture, I'm just like, oh, this is this guy's interpretation, and either it's God breathed or not, and the likelihood of it being God breathed seems kind of slim. So it just seems to be like 1,000 different interpretations coming at me at once.
That's because there are. That's not something that you're imagining. That is actually what's happening. So,
Just coming from the other end, I thought that because I had people who would write me off and they go, Eric, you just haven't read the Bible. Well, I read passages out of the Bible all growing up. And I was like, okay, I'm going to read the Bible. And so I said, okay, I read the Bible. Well, which Bible did you read? Well, I read King James. Well, King James doesn't count. You need to read NIV. Well, crap. So I read NIV, which, by the way, there is not enough different between those books to be acceptable, in my opinion. I should have looked up the Spark Notes on the differences between them. But NIV, and then no, you need to read ESV.
Mm-hmm.
It was brutal.
Yeah. And I think that you're spot on. And that was a really good example. So thank you for laying that out. And that's exactly what I've experienced as well. On the one hand, so for my experience, I went to a Christian university and I pursued a journalism degree. Okay. And so in my journalism classes, they were talking about, hey, here's how you look for evidence in a particular story, right? Here's the reliability of eyewitness testimony. Here's how to determine bias. Here's the importance of primary documents. Like all of these really valuable research techniques that they were telling me was the right way to do research and to investigate and to answer questions. And then they required me to take, theology classes, Bible classes, all of this. So I took this body of knowledge that I was learning and I packed it up in my backpack and I brought it over into my theology class and started asking the same questions. And everyone was very confused. They're like, why are you asking me this? This isn't okay. You can't ask these questions. So this is a very crucial point in the process of evaluating this. And I'm not going to say that I know exactly where you're going to go from here, but this is a common theme between the three of us, right? We've all hit that spot, and now you have too.
Yeah.
And I'm going to echo Eric here. What you need to do is embrace that and find the places that make you uncomfortable and try and determine why. Because the second that you determine why they make you uncomfortable, they stop being uncomfortable. The discomfort comes from not knowing why. So if you can say, I'm feeling uncomfortable about this one topic or this one epistemological method, why? Delve into that for however long you need to. Once you understand why it makes you uncomfortable, it's going to stop making you uncomfortable.
Not necessarily true.
No?
Nope. Example, you could go to a theme park and you know that you're afraid of roller coasters, and the entire time you're standing in line, you know exactly why you're going to be upset. It doesn't take it away necessarily, but it does help.
Well, counter to the counter. If somebody mentions amusement parks and you get a sinking feeling in your stomach and you're not sure why, figuring out, it's because I don't like roller coasters and I make that association, at least allows you to talk about amusement parks with people without feeling bad inside, because you've determined the reason why is this one very isolated thing that you can avoid. You don't have to go on the roller coaster, but
fair enough.
I think we'd suggest you get on the roller coaster, man.
Yeah.
It's a good ride. It's fun.
And it is not a lonely one. So you could call Recovering from Religion. Their hotline project is fantastic.
Yes,
They've got amazing people to talk to, as well as the ACA Discord, Facebook pages, Reddit pages. We've got an amazing community as well. So you don't have to go it alone. I've been just watching all the love you're getting in the live chat, man. You'd be absolutely welcome there.
Sweet.
Cool.
Thank you. I don't know what recovering. Well, I know what it is. I've watched you guys' show a lot. I listen to it a lot when I'm at work. But I don't know how to get into contact with them or how to get on the Discord server. So,
well, so if you look at the lower third, recoveringfromreligion.org is where to go.
They should have a link straight to their call line there.
Absolutely. And I'm pulling it up too. Let's see. The hotline project is 184 I doubt it. So that's 1-844-368-2848.
1-844-364.
844-368-2848.
368-2848. Okay.
Talk Heathen sent you.
Yeah. And the invite to the ACA Discord is tiny.cc/ACA Discord. So type that in. That's also in the lower third. And you should be able to jump in there and talk with a bunch of people who have had exactly the same kind of experience that you're going through right now.
Okay.
Good talking to you, bro.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Call back if you have more questions.
And let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'll do some thinking.
Sounds good.
Take care. That was nice.
That was a good call.